My name is Katie Morse, and today we'll be talking about ownership and creative freedom and how the SMART goal applies to those and what is ownership and creative freedom. So starting out, just a quick reminder what my SMART goal is. I want to motivate the player to at least 3 times a week go outside to walk or do an outdoor activity for an hour. I find that sometimes people get too caught up doing work and stuff and they forget that there's an actual outside world. And also too, it's great to go outside occasionally and do something or just walk down the block so you can get your stress and free your mind. You get some fresh air. So first, let's talk about ownership. So what is ownership? Well, when we own something, it gains a value. So if you own a plant or a pop figure or something, it has value to it because you own it now. There's also there's an effect that everyone has. It's called a endowment effect. It's believing something is more valuable than it is because it's yours. So if your family ever had like a family car and they try to sell it, they would usually go for something that is higher than it's actually worth because it has memories and memorabilia to it and has different aspects of it that has value to you. Or if you try to sell your console, or your first console, it has like memories of your first games and stuff like that, and it has a lot of value to you. So we're gonna, of course, when we sell it away to someone, it's gonna be a lot more than what it's worth. Um, and also too, when we create something, we add value to it. So if you ever had a painting or did something really small or like create a character in a game, it has value to it. And actually, when we create game characters or um, characters to play, we're actually more likely to get attached to that character because it's like a part of ourselves and it's like our creativity, and also too we see ourselves in it. But in other things, like in small things like paintings and stuff like that, we create it and we put in the hard work, so it has value to us because we spent hours and hours and hours trying to create something. Also too, when we collect things, we kind of go on a quest to get them all. So if you ever had a collection, like for example, like I said, mentioned earlier, pop figures. If you have a favorite video game or TV show, you want to make sure you collect the whole set, because if you're missing one, it's just gonna drive you up the wall, and then the value of it's not gonna be the same. But once you get that one pop figure, you feel like complete. Also too, we're territorial. We defend our territory because we own it and we must protect it. So if you have some random stranger like get in your car, you're gonna be, even though like even though they're not doing anything towards you, and they just need a ride somewhere or something, like we still feel territorial because they're sitting in our space, in our place that we own, and our space has value to it as well. So some SMART goals I can apply ownership to. So collecting pets in the game, the more the player does. So the more the player walks outside, the more they can get pets and different things. This will definitely add ownership because the player will feel like, okay, this is mine, or this is a complete set. The player can create art, and depending on what they create is what they unlock. So if they draw something or they color in something, like a picture or something, and depending on what type of colors are in it, is what type of pet they unlock or what type of level they unlock. So they have ownership of their art. Also, you can use currency to unlock new things in the game. Usually when we have currency in games, we want one specific thing and we want to own that one specific thing. We're not trying to own or anything, or we tend to kind of sometimes like think currency is like your own money, and you don't really want to go out and just randomly spend it. You want to save up for that one specific thing. So if I do this in the game, this can definitely motivate the player to keep playing because they feel like they own that set piece, whatever they unlocked in the game. So now we're going to talk about creative freedom. When you are free to do whatever you want in a game, it's powerful. If you ever played an open world game, you feel like you're yourself in this new world. It kind of takes you out of the real world into a new one. But That doesn't mean you can do whatever you want, essentially. Like, if you want to do something basic, like if you went to Skyrim and you just want to be just like a shopkeeper or owner, you can't just, well, you can sell things, but like a shopkeeper and like, or be a farmer, you can't essentially do that for the whole game. You have to go out and do things. But it does give you the sensation that you are free, because you can literally at any time of the day in Skyrim go out and shoot an elk or a giant, or go find some random dungeon to explore. Like, it doesn't limit you um, on parts of the games. Also, too, games that use an objective that can be completed in any manner is fun. If you are told, hey, you need to go kill this person, but it doesn't tell you a specific reason or a specific way to do it, it's a lot more fun because, again, Skyrim, if you did Dark Brotherhood quests, you know that there is an extra incentive if you did it a certain way, but you didn't have to do it that certain way. But the characters did react to you if you did it a certain way. Also, too, if we get to kill someone with just random weapons we find, or like we can poison the player, or we can just shoot them in the head, or do anything essentially that it's our own without being like micromanaged, it makes us feel like we're free. It's good to have those because it gives the player the feeling of choice. Um, if the choice is meaningful, then the player will feel like they had an effect on the world. But that doesn't mean they have to be extravagant changes. They just need to be an illusion. So, for example, you can do something where if a player says something to a certain character, in the next level they get a certain weapon at the beginning of the level. It doesn't have to be huge and massive, like some games, like Detroit Become Human, where if your choices actually do mean something. Um, but you do see, like in Detroit Become Human, that your choices do mean a lot. So it does change the world a lot. Essentially, you don't have to do that in games. You can be very basic. You can change like simple weapons or certain types of mounts they have, or an enemy they encounter. So, how to do this with my SMART goal? Well, depending on what the pet they have in the game, or what they collect depending on how far they walk, they can unlock new stories, or different stories unravel just based on that pet. Or so if they have a different pet equipped and they switch, and then the story switches as well. The end of levels are different depending on the pet equipped as well. That can be another thing. So if the player has one pet equipped, the like art style of the ending of the level will be different, or it'll show a hint or be something unique. Also, another thing too, they can choose the level of difficulty for puzzles in the game. So if there's puzzles added in the game later on, they can set difficulty. Maybe they feel like they want to do a puzzle on easy, and then they want to build up. Or some players want to feel like they want to go straight to the highest difficulty and get the puzzle done. It's up to them. So in conclusion, as we continue the process of gamification, we understand the importance of ownership and creative freedom. We also discovered new ways to use these goals and have a deeper understanding of how we experience it, such as giving choices to players, especially with our SMART goal, having them choose a pet, and how the story unravels, and um, giving them creative freedom with their game as well, to motivate the player to go outside at least 3 times a week, or 1 hour activity. But that is it for my presentation. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.